friends. Bactria is an ancient country north of Afghanistan between the Hindu Kush mountains and the Oxus River. There are so many explanations as to how Bactria got its name. I believe that Bactria could mean the son of Rhea. I say this because biblical Ham and his second wife Rhea ended up in that region. When you add the prefix back before anyone's name, it makes that person the son of someone. It is like Bacchus being the son of Cush. Now, what happened to Ham and Rhea took place in the first few centuries after the flood of Noah. The following are the sequence of events that led to their arrival in Bactria. Right after Noah's flood, Ham was in Egypt with his son Cush. Ham and his entire family was against Noah and his God Yahweh because Noah had cursed Ham. Meanwhile, the king Gomer of Italy died. Ham seized Italy. At this point, something that happened in ancient Nineveh led to a cascade of events. That event was the death of Ham's grandson, King Nimrod, who was killed by a water nymph named Inanna, who is also known as Semiramis and Kali. Now, Nimrod was the Bacchus, being the son of Cush. So Ham started mourning his death with drunken revelries called Bacchanalia with the youth of Italy, thus corrupting them. Noah was very concerned about the youth of Italy. He moved in with the help of King Hammond of Libya and drove Ham out. So Ham got angry with Hammond and he killed him. Years later, Hammond's son Dionysus wanted to avenge his father's death by killing Ham. Ham escaped to India with his wife Rhea, leaving behind their baby son Mizraim, also known as Zeus and Indra. While he was in India, Ham tried to snatch away the kingdom of India, which belonged to his brother Shem. Meanwhile, Dionysus pursued him. So Ham and Rhea fled to the region of Bactria. There they came across a group of people who were worshipping Asher, the son of Shem, in the form of Ahura Mazda. Now, Asher was a friend of Nimrod. So there is a chance that these people moved to the Bactria region from ancient Assyria when Semiramis killed Nimrod and took over the throne. Now, Ham being the closest ally of Lucifer the devil, he was also the father of magic. He dazzled those Asher worshippers with his magical powers, enslaved them, and established himself as Zarathustra, the prophet of Ahura Mazda. The story doesn't end there. While he was in Bactria, Ham still wanted to rule India. At the same time, which is around 2950 BC, when his son Cush moved into India with his people, Ham used them to pull down the kingdom of Shem. Now, there was a powerful magician in the clan of Cush named Vishwamitra, and there was a prophet of God named Vasishta in the court of King Shem, who was the King Bharat of India. Indians nowadays are calling them both counselors to the king, thus narrowing the gap between the black magician and a prophet of God with divine power. Furthermore, in those days, almost every prominent member had a water nymph known as Apsara, or a sage sent by Lucifer the devil from his abyss to control them. But you won't find them in the case of Shem, the king Bharat, or Vasishta, because they were followers of true God Yahweh in the form of Narayana, and demons don't dare come close to them. There is another incident when Vasishta cast out a demon from an evil king named Kalmashapada who was trying to hurt him. These are all God's power in manifestation, friends. Now, Shem was also called Harishchandra by the people. Vishwamitra removed Vasishtha from his position and he destroyed the life of Shem, the king Harishchandra, his family and his kingdom. This story is known by Hindus all over the world. But the only drawback is that they don't know that Shem is the king Bharat and Harishchandra is his another title. Now, after the end of King Bharat, a son of Shem named Sudas Pejavna arose in his place and he finished off Vishwamitra for his evil deeds. But the Indians would say that Vishwamitra did not die and he transformed himself into the constellation of Southern Crux using his accumulated spiritual powers. Well, coming down to earth, Sudas also reinstated Vasishtha to his original position as the prophet that he was. This is when something supernatural happened. The Lord God Jehovah avenged the death of Shem, the king Bharat. It is mentioned in 2 places in Rigveda. The beauty is that Prophet Vasishtha called out to God from India and Ham got burned to death in Bactria. In Rigveda, on 7th mandala, 9th hymn's 6th verse says that when Vasishtha kindled the holy fire, the Agni, it slew Jarutha, who is Zoroaster. And again, on the 10th mandala, 80th hymn's 3rd verse says that Agni from the water killed Zoroaster. Well, it is embarrassing for the Bactrians that their prophet should die in such a disgraceful manner. So they say that a Karpan, meaning a Brahmin, murdered Zoroaster at the city of Balkh because their prophet had finished off an old religion referring to King Bharat worshipping Yahweh in the form of Narayana. The Indians have further twisted the same incident as their god Shiva burning the same character, Ham the Kamdev, who happens to be his own grandfather. However, it is worth noting that King Nimrod, who they call Shiva, had already died approximately about 80 years prior, which is what led to the cascade of events that we came across in this video. But the sad thing is, no one can ever have a sense of the progression of times and events from any Hindu literature. Well, in this manner, we saw how ancient Bactria has its own importance in God's history, friends. Thanks for watching.